She was a sight to see everywhere she went, a tall woman in shorts with jungle patterns and bright halter tops, and her presence was announced by a mischievous grin and laughter that echoed across the fairways. Cameras panned the spectators at the 1997 PGA Championship looking for John Daly's unpredictable swing, but they found Pamela "Jungle Pam" Hardy instead. She was a superfan who became a cultural hero. But beneath those flashy costumes and inexhaustible energy was a life full of problems, a youth full of struggles, and a devastating end that shocked the golfing world. Pam was born in a small town in Georgia in 1958. She grew up in a modest home where weekends were filled with church services, family picnics, and anything but golf. Her dad worked at a textile mill, while her mom cleaned other people's homes. There wasn't much money, and pleasures were hard to come by. Pam found a way to get away from it all by picking blackberries along the side of the road, exploring creeks with her cousin Bobby, and envisioning herself at big tournaments she only saw on grainy TV. She listened to radio broadcasts of the Masters from Augusta and dreamed of one day strolling those green fairways herself, even though she didn't pick up a club until she was in her late teens. She worked 2 part-time jobs in high school, one was bagging groceries and the other was stocking shelves at a hardware shop. She worked extra jobs to pay by an old pair of irons she bought at a yard sale in Macon. Pam practiced her swings in a nearby field by hitting plastic wiffle balls over cow pastures and into rusted drums that were far away. She could outdrive most men in her county by the time she was 19, but her technique was still a little raw. She hitchhiked to junior games nearby, where a few people watched players in boring collared polos. Pam stood out in her worn tank tops and cut-off trousers, cheering on the racers like there were 50 people there. When she went to the 1991 U.S. Open in Georgia at age 32, her life transformed. Open in Georgia. Daly, a big guy with a low-slung cap and a love of beer over water, attracted her eye with his amazing drives and disrespectful attitude toward the sport's boring rules. Pam cheered him on at every tee box, holding up signs she designed that said, "Hit it hard, John." Jungle Fever lives, and by the last round, cameras spotted her dancing barefoot on the field and waving yellow ribbon pom-poms. Daly saw her, waved back, and after he won, he invited her to join him in the winner's circle for a toast. That moment made her famous, John Daly's secret weapon, a wild and crazy mascot. Pam became a regular at Daly's events after that day. She made her clothes out of things she found at thrift stores, cutting apart old skirts to make shorts and sewing safety pin leopard print to bright fuchsia tops. She brought a portable cooler full of his favorite Schlitz beers and barbecued hot dogs behind the concession stalls. Photographers saw her doing things like cheering loudly before every drive, running into the rough when Daly's balls fell amid the pines, and screaming like a wild animal every time a swing went more than 250 yards. Because of her lively flair and free personality, TV networks called her Jungle Pam. At first, her fame seemed endless. Golf magazines wrote about the strange fan who became Daly's unofficial caddy in depth. She wore custom-made jumpsuits with jungle patterns on them while she was on talk shows, and she talked about how she kept people's spirits up during tough times. Fans sent her hand-sewn earrings that looked like golf tees, while kids sent her drawings of her as a superhero saving lost golf balls. Pam loved it all. She soaked up the attention like sunlight, and her laughing was never forced. She was always there for her friends. But being famous didn't protect her from her own problems. By 1999, there were rumors that things were going wrong back home. Pam's family fought over her sudden fame, and old acquaintances said she was losing touch with reality. She didn't have any official caddying qualifications, but she spent weeks on the road going to tournaments, which cost her a lot of money. Pam had a hard time getting reliable care for her mother from a distance when her health got worse. She had to deal with hotel rooms and backstage passes while making random phone calls home, promising to send money that quickly went to travel costs and unplanned shopping trips for sequin tops and feather boas. Alcohol slowly became a part of her life, both as a comfort and a crutch. She would drink a beer or two before Daly's drives, saying it helped her voice and made her jungle roar stronger. But when no one was around, she often drank more to calm her nerves on long, lonely evenings on the road. In 2004, photographers got hazy pictures of her leaving a Las Vegas nightclub while holding a half-empty bottle of alcohol. "Jungle Pam Goes Off the Rails" was the headline in a tabloid. Daly, who was a friend and drinking buddy, made a public plea, "Pam's my fan, my friend. She needs help, not headlines." The event made people feel sorry for her, but it also made her problems worse. In the middle of the 2000s, problems with physical health came up. Years of eating a lot of sugary snacks, fast food late at night, and being stressed all the time took their toll. She was told she had type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure that was just starting to show. Doctors informed her that she could have problems including neuropathy, vision loss, and heart difficulties, but Pam thought that regular checkups would get in the way of her one true love. She gained about 300 pounds, which made it hard for her to travel and hurt her knees. Other admirers set up a GoFundMe page to help with medical bills, but the money was often used to pay for missed paychecks or expensive purchases she claimed were therapeutic. By 2008, her relationship with Daley was falling apart. She wasn't officially on his staff, and the people in charge of the tournament were getting more worried about liability. Security started to restrict her access to the course. Daley called her family in appearances and defended her, but he had to go on tour around the world without his jungle mascot because of schedule issues and sponsorship obligations. Pam felt lost and alone. She tried to expand her horizons by going to events with other players, starting a line of novelty clothes called Pam's Jungle, and selling t-shirts with her cartoon face on them. The business failed because of shipping delays and complaints about quality. She sold personal items like torn hot dog wrappers and signed posters in online auctions to make up for her losses, but the transactions were few and far between. Her life was a silent tragedy behind a showy facade. Pam was heartbroken when her sister died suddenly in 2012. She fell into a deep depression and lived on drink and adrenaline. She missed whole seasons and stopped going to Walmart parking lots near the courses. Fans looked for her Instagram posts because they were anxious about her silence. Daley's spokeswoman said, "Pam is taking time to focus on health and family matters." But there were no updates. By 2014, her social media accounts were gone, and an anonymous obituary for her father took their place. The people who used to cheer her on now understood how alone she was. The seasons changed again, and Pamela Hardy's world grew more quieter. She completely disappeared from public notice, giving up jungle prints and stadium lights for the quiet of her small flat in Augusta. The fan who used to cheer loudly on the fairways now spent her days doing the same things over and over, going to the store early in the morning to buy sugar-free cereal, watching tournament reruns in the afternoon with the noise turned down, and staring at empty walls at night. Her phone didn't ring, and her mailbox didn't get any new messages. Sometimes, a kind neighbor saw her in the corner deli, where she was sitting with a cup of decaf coffee, staring off into space as if she were seeing ghosts in the steam. The deli worker once yelled, "Hey Pam, it's been a long time." But she walked right by without smiling. The light from the swing in her living room became a sign of absence instead of celebration. She made a living by doing odd tasks, like folding polo shirts at a bargain store or packing golf balls at a driving range. Each income was barely enough to pay for housing and medical bills. Without regular check-ins, she had trouble managing her diabetes. Her vision got blurry and her legs hurt from neuropathy. When she felt bad, she couldn't stand long enough to serve clients, so she had to make up weak excuses like back discomfort. When she tried to tie her shoes or scribble a quick letter, her hands shook. When she was desperate, she searched through her dresser drawers for costume jewelry she had formerly acquired, including plastic bangles and feathery headbands, and sold it at pawn shops for a few dollars. The same flashy items that had made her famous now felt like something from a former life she could hardly remember. In 2016, a short argument on Facebook propelled her back into the public eye. A former caddy put up an old picture of Jungle Pam cheering behind the 18th hole at St. Andrews. Fans flooded the comments with memories and desire, "Bring her back. We miss her roar. I'd drive her golf cart any day." However, when someone tagged Pam's profile, she didn't pay attention to the message, and the discussion quickly ended. A few others tried to add her as a friend, but she never answered. When a YouTube channel released blooper videos of her funniest moments, she viewed them once, tears flowing down her cheeks, then uninstalled the app, loathing herself for both longing and agony. By 2017, her health problems had gotten so bad that they were too much. During a routine exam at a free clinic, a harsh doctor told her that her blood sugar was dangerously high, more than twice what was safe. Her blood pressure was close to a hypertensive crisis, and an EKG showed that her heart was beating irregularly. He said that without a lot of help changing her diet, getting insulin therapy, and learning how to deal with stress, she could have a stroke or heart attack in a few months. Pam nodded without really thinking about it, and the words sank in as she walked back into the hallway. She put gauze to a shaking palm and tried not to cry as leaflets on diabetic foot care and cardiac rehab fell to the floor. She put them in her purse but never called the people whose numbers were within. That fall, her old friends started to talk about how she was getting worse. Someone left John Daly a voicemail that said, "Pam's not doing well. She is by herself in Augusta. I think she needs you." He listened to the message again late at night, with his sleeves pulled up and his eyes red. He tried to contact her phone, but it went directly to voicemail even though he was busy. He sent an SMS to friends of both of them, but none of them knew where she was. He felt a tinge of guilt as he realized that Jungle Pam's bravado had hidden a deeper weakness that he had never really recognized. He asked his boss to send a private investigator, but by the time they found anything, she had already moved out of the Augusta apartment and into a rundown room at a cheap motel on the outskirts of Columbus, Georgia. Park rangers recovered her dead on a cold morning in January 2018 in a forested area near the back lot of the motel. She had fallen on wet leaves and smacked her head on a low branch. The doctor's warnings about her weak bones and health were like mute witnesses. There was a bag of medical items next to her, including insulin pens that she never used and an inhaler that she never opened. The police records indicated no trace of foul play, only a solitary woman whose life arcs had flown off course. When they found her with a tarnished lanyard and tournament credentials, news outlets brought her story back to life. Jungle Pam's tragic end screamed the headlines, along with blurry pictures of her grinning in leopard print beneath the summer sun. The outpouring of grief that followed was as bittersweet as the stillness she had to deal with. Fans left golf balls at the motel's overgrown entryway, signed grief banners outside her childhood home in Georgia, and cried during memorial services that were webcast live. Daly wrote a moving tribute, "Pam gave me confidence when no one else would. Her shout helped me get through tough times. I wish I could have helped her find her way." Fellow golfers and celebrities promised to pay for a memorial scholarship in her name to help superfans who are going through health and financial problems. This is an attempt to remember the spirit of a woman who brought so much joy. Jungle Pam's story has been a warning about the dangers of celebrity without safety nets ever since. Documentaries have followed her ascent and fall, looking closely at each costume, cheer, and warning flag that went unheeded. Golf clubs hold Pam's Day fundraisers for diabetes care, and a tiny bench with her moniker on it sits beside a practice green in Augusta. It is a quiet reminder that health can deteriorate without care. Not only do highlight reels keep her tale alive, but so do the lives of the people she inspired to cheer louder, love harder, and take better care of their health. Even though Pamela Jungle Pam Hardy's last chapter may have been written alone, her legacy lives on in every cheer that still echoes across fairways and in every heart that learns to listen when the roar stops. After she died, the world of golf seemed to blink in disbelief. The fairways felt more empty and the broadcast booths were quieter, as if the echoes of Jungle Pam's huge cheer still remained in the air, waiting for one more roar. Every spring, a tiny group of supporters in Augusta put together an unofficial Pam's Day. Before daybreak, they met at Amen Corner and put hand-painted golf balls and leopard print bandanas next to a worn-out seat that looked out over the water hazard on number 12. Word got out, and soon news teams were there taking pictures of stained memorials, scrapbooks full of pictures, handwritten comments, and a silver flask with the words "Hit it hard, John" inscribed on it. The gesture turned into a pilgrimage, with superfans driving hundreds of miles just to pay their respects to the woman whose spirit went beyond any one tournament. Documentarians jumped on the bandwagon. An award-winning director named Marisol Brooks brought a film crew to rural Georgia to talk to Pam's childhood acquaintances. They went back to the old, rundown mill where her father used to work, which has been closed for decades, and taped cousins talking about how they used to swing in cowfields as teenagers. One cousin, with tears in her eyes, said that Pam's laughter ringing through the fields was the purest music anyone ever heard. In Nashville, Brooks recorded former tour bus drivers and local radio DJs talking about the first time Jungle Pam danced barefoot on the back of a flatbed truck, waving her signs in the Georgia sun. These oral narratives painted a picture of a woman whose greatest joy was cheering for the underdog, beyond the leopard print splendor. Golf magazines published lookbacks. Golf Digest published an entire issue about Jungle Pam's legacy,
including extended stories and photo spreads of her most famous moments.
An article called The Woman Behind the Wild, Understanding Pam Hardy's Heart followed her journey from being a closet fan to a cultural phenomenon. Writers looked at how her unrestrained excitement had broken down the polite facade of professional golf, bringing in a wider range of fans. They referenced sports psychologists who said that Pam's uncensored backing had boosted Daly's confidence, making her personal fandom a performance asset. The article ended by saying that her legacy lived on not only in tributes but also in the wider range of people who came to tournaments, including families, hunters in camouflage, and even skateboarders who had earlier thought golf was too stuffy.
In the meantime, Daly became an advocate for Pam's memory.
He gave money from certain Pro-Am events to start the Jungle Pam Scholarship Fund, which helps young caddies who are having trouble making ends meet. People from all over the world applied: a South African teenager whose mother grew tea leaves by sunrise so he could caddy, a young woman in Scotland who had trouble paying for club rentals, and a boy in Japan who practiced tipping clubs to whisper good luck under the sakura blooms. Daly invited a few scholars to his yearly party in Las Vegas, where they met past pros, toured private courses, and listened to Daly tell stories about Pam's crazy behavior. Every story had both funny and sad parts, which reminded me that relationships last longer than tournament scores.
On Pam's birthday, #JunglePam was a trending topic on social media.
Fans sent old Polaroids of her cheering behind greens, memories of running into her in autograph lines, and anecdotes of how she taught them to be bold, kind, and brave enough to stand out. People who followed the popular Instagram page at Roar Like Pam were asked to post videos of themselves applauding for causes including local sports teams, charity runs, and community events in Pam's name. The campaign used her legacy as a rallying cry: always help others, even when you're told to be quiet. Video montages showed a wide range of voices, from graduating seniors at historically black universities to frontline healthcare workers. Each one echoed Pam's distinctive enthusiasm in their respective area.
Curators at Golf Halls of Fame changed the way exhibits looked so that they included a Jungle Pam section.
There was a glass case that showed off her custom-stitched halter top with the flags of every nation she had been to. Another case showed off her broken cooler, which still had foam from Schlitz on it. Visitors could scroll through her scrapbook of ticket stubs, hotel keycards, and airline napkins on interactive screens.
On each, she had written encouraging notes for Daly.
Audio stations played snippets of her famous whoops and loud cheers. There was a sign at the exhibit that said, "Pam's legacy teaches us that fandom is more than just showing up, it's being a part of someone else's dream." But the most moving homage came 10 years after her death in Augusta. A life-sized bronze statue of Jungle Pam mid-cheer, with her foot on a rock and her hands raised as if throwing invisible pom-poms into the air, was revealed by the tournament organizers near the practice range. The artist got the curve of her smile, the angle of her head, and the feel of her shorts with a jungle pattern. When the statue was revealed, Daly stood next to the throne, his voice full of emotion. He put a palm on the cool bronze and said, "Here's to you, Pam. Yours is a roar that never dies." In classes on fandom and popular culture, journalists and sociologists talked about her narrative in classrooms and lecture halls. They talked on how her rise from the ground up was a sign of today's influencer economy, where real authenticity beats out any paid advertising. They talked about the thin line between love and obsession, using Pam's problems as an example of the ethics of following celebrities. The Pam Hardy Memorial Lecture on Community Engagement was produced by alumni of her school. It looks at how people can make a difference through passion and steadfast support. In the end, Jungle Pam's journey, from the fields of rural Georgia to the best golf courses in the world and then to a lonely end, shows us a timeless truth: one voice raised in real celebration can echo through time and hearts. As people watch games, stop to watch documentaries, or walk by her statue in the early morning light, they learn a simple lesson: live life with wild spirit, cheer for others with all your heart, and never underestimate how one person's roar may influence the game. Even years after her death, Jungle Pam's tale was still being told in every part of golf culture, reminding followers that passion can last longer than applause. Community golf courses started holding Pam Hardy Invitational charity events. People wore leopard print accents and gave their registration fees to diabetes research. Families told stories on the news about how Jungle Pam taught them to yell their support without feeling bad about it. Neighbors remembered practicing on swings in their backyards with loud shouts, and siblings tried new hobbies since they saw how happy she was. Her impact pushed regular people in both tiny towns and huge cities to celebrate whenever they could. Sports psychology classes at colleges and universities used her as an example to show how positive reinforcement can help athletes do better. They looked at Daly's success after Pam became a regular at his tea times. Professors showed clips of her happy celebrations and talked about how her real excitement created a feedback loop that kept people focused and lowered their performance anxiety. Students did the same experiment in intramural leagues, where they chose enthusiasm captains to cheer for each of their teammates. Researchers in a sociology class did surveys comparing teams with and without designated cheerleaders. The results showed that players had more fun and felt more connected when someone took on the role Pam had played so well. At the same time, campaigners for women's empowerment used her legacy to fight misconceptions about fandom and women being involved in male-dominated environments. Jungle Pam was featured in articles in top magazines among other pioneering female athletes. They praised her for being visible on fairways where women were traditionally discouraged. An op-ed in the New York Times said that her unbridled support shattered the rules of polite spectatorship and encouraged other women to stand up for themselves in forums of their choice. Coaches at golf schools used her as an example of how female fans can add excitement to the game by being active instead of just watching. Girls were asked to junior league games to wear colorful bandanas in her honor. In the internet age, Jungle Pam got a new audience because of viral memes and short videos. Clips of her dancing barefoot behind greens with her collar flipped up were very popular on social media. Influencers utilized the hashtag #RoarLikePam to get people to cheer for their favorite players during live streams of tournaments. They told viewers to leave comments with encouraging emojis and express messages of support for the players. Even esports commentators copied her method, using excited overlays and fan-made images to celebrate underdog wins during tense moments. Her values went beyond golf through various avenues, reaching different groups who valued spirited support. Sports memorabilia museums started collecting Jungle Pam items since they are important cultural objects. One traveling show called Fandom Unleashed had her initial halter tops, banners that said "Hit It Hard, John," and her damaged cooler that was plastered in travel stickers. Visitors could put on virtual beach shorts and enter into a replica practice bunker, where they could record their own cheers and see them projected on a fake leaderboard. Curators saw guests cry and laugh as they remembered her excitement, showing that the power of fandom is as much about the fans as it is about the sportsman. A retrospective documentary on her life and career came out in film festivals all around the world in 2022. It included interviews with Daly, tournament officials, family members, and fans whose lives she had impacted. Viewers saw ancient film of her yelling from the rough, narrations that put her role in societal context, and animated scenes that showed her early days in Georgia fields. The director of the movie said that Jungle Pam's life story showed larger American themes, such as the search for happiness in difficult times, the rise and fall of popularity, and the yearning for human connection that never goes away. Critics said it was a moving story about the person who became the heartbeat of a sport. When John Daly was inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame, he thanked her in his speech. He talked about how her presence had changed the course of his career and how she was a co-hero in his story. He showed off a picture of Pam in leopard print, with her eyes shining with excitement, to hang in the Hall of Fame museum. People got up and cheered as Daly told how hearing her yell had helped him get back on track and gain confidence during important competitions. That moment made her a part of golf history, not just as a superfan but also as a key player in the life of one of the game's most colorful champions. Community centers and youth programs kept honoring Pamela by making Jungle Pam zones during local competitions. These were locations where everyone could cheer, with signs, pom-poms, and fun costumes. Volunteers led families to these areas, where they taught kids simple chants and told them to celebrate each player's successes. Organizers said that these areas brought in friendlier, more excited people and made new fans feel welcome instead of scared. The simple act of coordinated cheering became a living memorial to her belief that giving people a lot of support can raise them up and make communities stronger. Lastly, the Jungle Pam Scholarship Fund grew to help more people. It now offers health and wellness programs based on her experience, as well as money to help others become caddies. There were programs for basic medical checkups, mental health resources, and fitness classes that were made to match the needs of people who work in the music industry. Some of the fun ambassadors had gotten scholarships and now they went to schools and groups to tell Pam's story as a warning and a source of hope. Their message was that you can go after your dreams with all your heart, but you also need to take care of yourself along the way. Jungle Pam's name became synonymous with responsible fandom, an enduring lesson that joy and care can, and must, go hand in hand. Since Chapter 4's touching tributes, Jungle Pam's influence has only grown, leading to a remarkable number of cultural, educational, and charitable projects that have kept her legacy alive long after she left the golf course. The University of Georgia started the Hardy Fellowship in Community Spirit in 2023. It gives yearly fellowships to students who show great passion and support in any area, including sports, the performing arts, the debate team, or local nonprofits. Every spring, the winners head to Augusta to speak at Pam's Corner, a memorial pavilion outside the clubhouse where they hold cheer workshops to show golf fans and newcomers how to turn Pam's unbridled enthusiasm into constructive support. These fellowships teach us a very important lesson. Pam's real gift was not her costume or camera flash, but the way her roar made everyone feel warm.
Digital channels have also helped her memory live on.
In 2024, a fan-made augmented reality filter went widespread on social media. It let people wear Jungle Pam's famous halter top and wave virtual pom-poms as they watched live streaming of big games.
The filter's description says, "Roar like Pam, encourage every athlete, uplift every spirit."
Developers promise to give some of the money they make from in-app donations to the Pamela Hardy Health Trust, which pays for testing and treatment for type 2 diabetes in areas that don't have access to them. A virtual tour of museum quality that shows 360-degree views of her famous clothes, pages from her personal scrapbook, and recorded tributes from John Daly and other PGA stars came published online more recently. Teachers now use these digital archives in sports fandom classes to show how one person's passion can change the way a group of people views something.
Giving back to others is still a big part of her history.
In 2025, the Jungle Pam Scholarship Fund grew to include wellness programs for superfans and support staff on tour, like ball boys and girls, caddies, groundskeepers, and even concession workers. These programs pay for mental health counseling, ergonomic training, and dietary coaching. Later that year, during the PGA Championship in Louisville, mobile wellness vans stopped by the players' entrances and offered free consultations with qualified dietitians and physiotherapists. Pam's jungle theme was on the shirts that volunteers wore, and they encouraged people to take 5-minute pauses to drink water and stretch. One groundskeeper later said that the van's rapid neck massage service helped his chronic pain so much that he was able to finish the whole tournament without missing a shift. Pam's ghost told her that true fandom takes care of the people that play the game.
Echoes of Encouragement, a touring art show that started in 2026 at the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History, was inspired by how her culture resonated with people. Sports historians and interactive media artists put together the installation, which included actual items like her well-used cooler, original pom-poms, and signs, as well as soundscapes of her recorded cheers and laughing. People could walk into a replica of the U.S. As you walk down the fairway, you can hear Pam's excitement through directional speakers. Teachers used the display as a starting point for talks on identity, support networks, and the ability of cheerleading to bring people together in sports and social justice movements. In one class, people choreographed group cheers for community activism campaigns, using Pam's philosophy of helping the underdog to support issues like protecting the environment and improving literacy in their own neighborhoods. Pam's life was a tapestry of vulnerable humanity long before video highlight reels made her famous. However, it took decades for institutions to fully understand how much she changed the world. Roar in the Rough, an off-Broadway drama that has received a lot of praise, looks at her ascension, struggles, and never-ending spirit in 2027. Written by Hannah Delgado and directed by theater director Marcus Lee, the piece mixes scenes from Pam's youth in rural Georgia with her glamorous days on the tour circuit. It combines narrative drama with moments when the characters speak directly to the audience. At the end of each performance, the cast asks the audience to stand and give them a round of applause. This is a participatory tribute to Pam's belief that true celebration comes from being honest with each other. Critics call the performance a life-changing experience that honors a woman who reminded the world that enthusiastic support can bring people together. The Hardy Harvest Festival in her hometown in Macon, Georgia, is probably the most personal way she celebrates her roots every November.
What began as a simple get-together of childhood friends has grown into a multi-day event with live bluegrass bands, local craftsmen selling items with jungle prints, and junior golf ambassadors leading community golf clinics.
The Echo Lab is still the primary attraction at the event.
It's a round stage where people tell stories on how Jungle Pam inspired them, and these stories sound like ripples on a pond. One year, a middle school teacher told how she used Pam's cheering approach to help shy pupils feel more confident during presentations.
This new confidence led to students becoming leaders.
Every story thread comes together to make a tapestry of empowerment, showing that Pam's roar still echoes in the small acts of bravery we do every day. The heartbeat of Jungle Pam lives on through academic fellowships, digital innovations, wellness outreach, immersive displays, theatrical tributes, and hometown festivals. Her narrative goes beyond any one fairway or tournament and encourages everyone to find out how powerful real support can be. Pam Hardy's spirit will guide them to roar, with all the warmth, honesty, and daring that defined her amazing life. Today, more than 20 years after her death, Jungle Pam's roar still echoes across fairways and fields of endeavor far beyond golf's manicured greens. Every year, as tournament season starts, supporters stop to remember the happy atmosphere she brought to the game by putting up banners, cheering, and holding charity drives. But her legacy goes beyond formal events. It has become part of our culture, spawning projects that remind us all of the strength of real solidarity and community. Think about the Roar Like Pam Fund, which golf associations throughout the world started in 2028. This concept brings together athletes, sponsors, and fans to give money to local sports leagues. Participants agree to a jungle cheer task, which means they have to make recordings of themselves cheering on youth teams in their hometowns. Corporate partners will double donations to grassroots sports programs for every clip shared online with the hashtag #RoarLikePam. This will help with equipment grants, coaching clinics, and scholarships. Young athletes in underprivileged neighborhoods now practice with new gear, knowing that a fan who used to stand barefoot on the fairway was cheering them on. Jungle Pam's life story is still used as a case study in fan impact and social psychology in schools. Universities hold seminars on the sociology of cheer, which look at how positive reinforcement influences the morale of groups in sports and at work. Students look at Pam's behavior on the field and connect her wild enthusiasm to clear increases in the focus and performance of athletes. Psychology departments advocate for research on emotional contagion, using her as a key illustration of individual influence on collective mood. Industrial and organizational consultants use her approaches in team-building activities at work to teach employees how to celebrate real triumphs and create a supportive work culture. Artistic tributes keep coming up. In 2029, a well-known graphic author published Jungle Pam, Beyond the Links, a colorful comic series about her successes, failures, and victories. The comic novel shows parts of her life that aren't as well known, such her late-night thoughts in motels, the acts of kindness she did behind the scenes, and the friendships that kept her going. Teachers utilize the book in literary lessons to talk about the hero's journey, narrative voice, and theme in nonfiction stories. Libraries have reading groups and painting classes where people may make their own comic panels based on Pam's work, giving her legacy a new life for future generations. Technology also helps her keep her torch lit. Viewers can turn on a Jungle Cam during live tournaments, which streams curated fan messages and historic highlights in real time. Virtual reality lets spectators walk into a realistic simulation of Pam's point of view, standing directly behind the pin at a major championship, feeling the adrenaline rush with each drive, and giving high fives to other supporters. These digital innovations mix nostalgia with modern involvement, making sure that new audiences can experience her tale in ways that are both memorable and interactive. Maybe the greatest lasting homage is in the hearts of everyday people who were inspired by her. A Texas high school dean remembers how a student on the debate team got over her fear of public speaking by imagining Jungle Pam cheering her on from the audience. That moment of imagined support provided her the strength to give a great presentation. A marathon runner who was having doubts released a video of himself yelling Pam-style roars at mile markers to keep his enthusiasm up for 26.2 kilometers. In tiny communities, birthday parties include facts about her life. Kids learn that even the biggest dreamers need help sometimes, and that help can come from someone standing close behind them. Pamela Hardy's family keeps her memory alive through academic archives and private collections. Her niece keeps handwritten diaries that show a more thoughtful side of the woman who was known for being quite outgoing. The journals talk about her thoughts about her self-worth, her need to fit in, and the difficulties of being famous. Scholars who examine these texts reveal fresh aspects of her character, reminding followers that behind every larger-than-life personality is a human with hopes, fears, and weaknesses. As sports and entertainment change, Jungle Pam's values can help fans and communities be responsible. Social media sites improve their algorithms to show real, pleasant connections instead of divisive language, citing her experience as a model for real connection. Venues have encouragement zones based on Pam's example, where people can focus their energy on helping others instead of interrupting or being negative.
Pam reminders are simple on-screen cues that tell viewers to write words of encouragement to underdog athletes or up-and-coming performers.
The character of Jungle Pam shows us that one person's passion may have an effect on many people. Her journey, which has included amazing highs, tough lows, and an unshakable resolve to cheer on others, continues to encourage others to be nice, celebrate accomplishment, and show empathy in all areas of life. Her roar lives on, encouraging us to help others with love and enthusiasm.